Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming so early to this nice event. And today we are going to speak about burnout. My name is Ilie Circiumaru, and I hope that you will enjoy this presentation. So, since I'm the first speaker, I was told if it lags, yes. So, since I'm the first speaker, my obligation from the organizers was that I should do a warm-up. So please prepare your hands. We will need them during the checkup. We will speak about the burnout. Is it a myth or a fact? About the chemistry under this not a pleasant process. And of course, what to do to prevent it, how to maintain ourselves, and if we went into, then how to recover. Two words about myself. I've worked for 7 years in IBM research in Switzerland and have around 15 years in IT space. So actually, why have I decided to speak about this topic? For many, many years, a lot of my friends from big tech, Google, Facebook, big finance, were telling me, I don't want to go to work. I hate my job, colleagues, projects. Money doesn't matter, I just don't want to do it. And I was very skeptical. I was like, come on guys, you work in city center, you have your gym, swimming pools, insurances, nice projects, billion auditory. What you don't like, please explain me. And I was very, very skeptical. Until one day, I arrived in my office, in my car, and I didn't want to leave my car. And then next day, and then in a week I arrived 30 minutes later, not at 8, at 8:30, then at 9, then at 9:30. And I started to suspect there is some problem. There is some problem. So I did the research, discovered interesting things about what happened, and I'm going to share my discoveries with you. So, please, take your phones and let's do a small checkup. I bought the enterprise license, so everyone should be able to do it. 4 questions, 2 minutes. Let me also do it. Does it work? Yes, okay. So all results we will publish later in the Telegram channel. So I'm waiting, let's see. So your experience in IT, burnout, maybe at a lot of the week. Wait. Okay, I see already. Oh my God, it's much worse than I expected. Okay, already more than 100 people responded, so let's continue. So all results will be published in the Telegram, but I will touch on them a little bit later. So, yes, so let's first of all decide, is it actually a myth or a fact? I propose here to go to official sources, and World Health Organization tells us that actually burnout as a syndrome caused by a chronic workplace stress, which wasn't successfully managed. And it's now in all official catalogs of different diseases. What are the symptoms? So you have, your energy is very low, you increase your mental distance to the job, and you really become like negative, even in situations where potentially it's not so bad, and you also, or one can become very cynic about what is happening. And of course, you're not as efficient as you used to be, so that's logical. So let's look on the international statistics before we analyze what happened here. So I was surprised, but it is reported in west part of the world, in the east part of the world, that more than 3/4 of people report some burnout symptoms. Let's look what happened in this audience. So, burnout in IT. Now, let's first start with what do you think about Mondays? Why not 93 people? I love, again, 67. I love Mondays, 40. And 35 people have less than 3 years. So, looks like they love Mondays, that's very good. So, stupid people, 6, I had my work free. Burnout in IT is a real problem. Majority, 80% of people believe it's a real problem, and burnout is coming or came because of difficult or unsupportive management. That's the main reason. Heavy workloads, 30%, tight deadlines, lack of resources, I don't believe in what I do, 15, and no burnout, just 5. Ay. Okay, then you are in the right place. So what are the reasons which are reported by the international statistics? So the first one, heavy workloads, but not far from, difficult or unsupportive management, tight deadlines, lack of resources. So actually, first 2 reasons are also the dominant here. Okay, so let's scratch the surface of the science to understand better what is happening. So since we reported about heavy workloads, we work a lot. So how developers work, they use the brain to do some job. And we know that neurons are the working unit of our brain. Okay, we have around 85 billions of neurons, and all of them need some fuel to operate. How do we produce this fuel, which is ATP, adenosine triphosphate, I learned it. So we take the glucose plus oxygen, then special part or special mechanism in the neuron, which is called mitochondria. It takes these 2 sources and produce ATP, which later is used by neurons to work together to produce some results, send signals, type something, think about how to resolve the problem. So glucose, oxygen, in mitochondria, ATP. So far, I think it's clear. So we are in the standard mode. Let's very simplify it, but if we have enough energy which we can take from the food and the rest, which is more than we need to do the work, then it's what? We are efficient. Logic, yes? Okay, but what happens when we need to enter beast mode? When we don't have enough energy to do the work which we are supposed to do? We don't stop. Otherwise, if we would stop, we still would use the arrows and horses. No, we use backup energy. So our body knows how to store energy for the cases when we need it and we don't have enough supply. Okay, what does it mean, backup energy? Let's dive in these backups. So actually what happens, our body starts producing 2 main hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. And cortisol tells to liver, please release some glucagon, which is stored, which is later is splitted and digested in the glucose, which again becomes the fuel for the neurons. Also, our brain sends signal to the mitochondrials, please work more, produce more energy, we need more energy. And if this was not enough to do your job, then liver goes further and it uses fat to produce ketone bodies, which again later will be transformed into the energy. In short term, that works and we became more efficient, we can work more, harder and sustain the workloads. But unfortunately, if we do too much time, I don't speak here about hours, we speak about weeks, about maybe months, then our neurons are already exhausted, mitochondrials as well, all the signals don't go so smooth as they used to be, and we have some brain effects, so our memory and focus declines. Cortisol also suppresses another hormones, for example, oxytocin and dopamine, which are responsible for our mood. We became anxious. If we became anxious, we cannot sleep. If we cannot sleep, our brain is not cleaned properly during the night, and this moves you into a loop of problems. Even physically, your inflammations are not so well recovered by your immune system, so you start to be more sick. If you are more sick, you have again less energy. So this loop repeats again and again. Okay, but that was about heavy workloads. So if you work more, then eventually we have problems. But a lot of people, including you, reported difficult management, deadlines, lack of resources, which actually has nothing to do with just a lot of work. It's completely another group of the problem. And I would say, let's group all these reasons as stress. So, for people who don't know what is stress, this is the feeling which you might have felt it because I changed the background of the slide. So what happens when stress comes into our life? First of all, within seconds, our body produces adrenaline and noradrenaline because this is responsible for a fight or flight response. If this situation is not resolved and the stress still persists in our life, then we come back to our friend cortisol, who, as we already know, in short term gives us efficiency, but in the long term, burnout. So that's why if we look attentively now on the definition of World Health Organization, we see that they emphasize the chronic workplace stress, not so much just as a heavy workload. So I think we can conclude that the burnout happens first of all because of unmanaged stress, and here is important, unmanaged stress, which is in your life. But of course, if you work for months or years, then a situation can repeat. Good. So we discussed about the problem. Let's think how we could maintain us in the working mood, in the fresh mood, because sometimes we need to work a lot and deliver things. So first of all, since brain is like an engine, as any engine, he requires some oil to work smoothly. I don't speak here about the fuel, but I speak about the oil. And oil for the brain are the good hormones, which is, for example, dopamine. I have achieved something. I'm motivated. Serotonin. I'm calm, satisfied. I go to the nature, and my body becomes calm, relaxed, so I can work smoothly. Oxytocin. Hugs, people. Conferences, I think that a lot of us get this hormone so that our brain and neurons can also work in a more grouped and bonding way. And endorphins, the sport. This is what gives you the feeling of joy and also kills your pain if you had it. So, work-life balance. Is it really so easy? Maybe, but let's be realistic. It's not only about what we do, but also what do we think about what we do. So it is also very important in order to produce good hormones to like what you do and believe in what you do, which is not always the same. So if we do something every day, 8 hours, 10 hours a day, we will not always like it. Maybe 75%, maybe even half, that's already good enough. But it's important that we believe in what we do. And one of my favorite examples are these 5 people. Blunt, Philby, McLean, Burgess, and Chaincross. Who are they? They are the most successful spies of Soviet Union during the Second World War in the Great Britain, and they are known in the history as, oops, sorry, I was too early. So, 5 people, Kim Philby, McLean, Blunt, Burgess, and Chaincross, so the most successful spies in the history, and they are known as Cambridge 5. During the 5 years, they could send to Soviet Union 25,000 of documents. That was the era without the mobile phone and the camera. So why they were so successful? 4 out of 5 of them even didn't take money. The reason was that they believed in what they do. They had a goal to win in the war, and they believed that they should do it if they wanted allies win in the war. So if you believe in what you do, it completely changes your lifestyle, and of course, you are more efficient and you can protect yourself much more from the burnout. So what happened actually with me when I realized that I don't want to go in the office anymore? So in order to recover from a problem, first we need to identify a problem. And pretty quickly, I realized that I simply don't believe in what I do anymore. That was specific to the project, not to the IT, of course. That was already the second project in which I didn't believe, and the previous one died, which is okay for research and innovation world to do sometimes, but like not one after another again and again. So my burnout reason was that I had no faith in what I was doing. And how actually I started the recovery? So first of all, I concentrated on the blocking the bad, producing of the bad hormone, the cortisol, with this question. Maybe I'm wrong. Yes, I don't believe in the project, but maybe I'm just not smart enough. I don't see the future. Maybe that's my problem, but not the problem of everything else. So I couldn't change the job because the hiring freeze started all around and the market wasn't very good, but I could change my attitude to the job. And this is how I started. So I said, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, yes. We are all human. We all can think wrongly. So, and this immediately actually immediately blocked producing of the stress. So that was the first part of the problem. And then the second one, I started to generate good hormones. So what I personally did, I started to do coaching of people for free. I participated in Women in Tech. I also coached a lot of younger colleagues on my work. I started to repair my sleep. If you sleep not well, you should really take care of it. It's much more important than even sport, which is also important, or food. But if you cannot sleep well, then eventually you will have tiredness and fatigue. So the solution wasn't so difficult. It's recommended just don't use phone before the sleep. 1 hour, 2 hours, depends on the situation. In the moment I started to read more books, I said, okay, maybe I should write my book. So many people ask me questions how to build an IT career, and I decided to give a fundamental response to it. So writing your own book is not an easy task, sometimes stressful, but this is first of all stress which you can manage, and also in long term it gives you a sense of achievement. And of course, if people read it, give you feedback, you know, you wrote once, maybe you will do some updates time to time, but the sense of achievement really pushed me forward. And of course, I decided to also bring new things into my life, and one of them was Japanese head spa. But here I use the principle of losing weight on potatoes. This principle says following: if you want to lose weight with potatoes, you should not eat them, but rather dig them. And actually, I didn't just went there, but I co-founded a Japanese head spa in Zurich. And in the moment you create your own business, you will have so much fun. You will sleep like a baby, like you wake up 3 times a night and cry. And but it will change, it will restart your mind. And I had so much joy, and I'm enjoying so much when people write good feedback on Google Maps or in other locations. So I changed my style, and it pushed me again also in my own projects, and I am now back to my standard optimistic and working mood situation. So what about recovery estimations? It's, of course, very personal, but plus minus, we speak about from 1 month to 3 months if you just started to observe something wrong in yourself. But if situation is really severe, then we don't speak about just go to HeadSpa or create your business. Here, since most probably your hormone level is not optimal, you should start with medical checkup, and then maybe even go to doctors which would recommend you to take either some vitamins, and of course, potentially changing of lifestyle will be important. So this is what I wanted to tell you today. I hope you understood what is behind this common problem in IT, and I wish you manage stress and optimal hormone level in your body. Thank you.